Awaken to your truth that you are the I Am presence in harmony with the divine. You are consciousness beyond what the body and mind identify. This is Moment to Moment. Host Linda Hope will remind and enlighten you to know your divine nature. You were born into the body already aware, but forgot it as you expanded your sense of identity, ego mind, pattern behaviors, and habits. Stop sleepwalking and wake up to your timeless, eternal, formless self. Now, your host of Moment to Moment, Linda Hope.
Good evening, namaste. Recording here from beautiful Santa Fe, land of enchantment. Got to come out. It is just gorgeous out here today. And the crosswinds are beautiful. It gets really beautiful first in the morning and then at night. Just let the windows open and let that wind blow. And it's so pretty. So wherever you are in the world and you're tuning in, that is a first step of awakening to your full potential. Because here we're going to talk consciousness, awareness, presence, because that's who we are initially. We were born into this knowing. As babies, we knew it. We knew it so well. And then we got older and then we became, habituated and we had pattern behavior. And today we're going to talk about a subject that a lot of us know about, habits. What habits have you formed over your lifetime? And they are good and some of them are bad for us, right? And that's why every New Year's we say we're going to change, right, our habits. We're going to repent. We're going to really look at being more healthy, self-care. We're going to work out. We're going to eat right. And then what happens? We fall back into the old pattern behavior. Well, I believe that habits are formed over a period of years, mostly habituated because we start as young children seeing what others are doing, seeing what our parents have been doing, what their habits are, what your habits now sort of mesh with theirs. Your mother maybe had a pattern behavior that obviously maybe you liked, you didn't like, but it was something familiar. Same thing with your father, your siblings too. Maybe they had some pattern behavior as well that you identified very closely with. I mean, you are a reflection of your parents. And so obviously we develop this, it becomes now so unconscious because now it's something that we do automatically. It's like breathing. We're breathing. We take our breath for granted too, but isn't that something that we do all the time and we don't realize we're doing it until we can't? Until we have a hard time and we have bronchitis or we're at an altitude of Santa Fe and all of a sudden we're taking oxygen. Yeah. A lot of things that we do are unconscious. And they say that 90% of our life comes from our unconscious mind. So that's why being alert and awake and aware in the moment of what you are doing now in this moment is so important. Because what is the alternative? The alternative is you see your thought, right? You go, oh, I see that thought. You respond to that thought. It continues to inform you what to do next. You do that, thought, action, thought, action, thought, action. Most of us are that way. Most of us have learned that pattern behavior of responding to the thought, reacting to the thought with no space between you and your thought. You're just reacting. Thought, reaction, thought, reaction. but that is unconscious. You're unconscious when you do that. You don't even know that you had a thought. You don't even see it as a thought. You see it as you, as the personal identity going, that's me running the show. I just had a thought that I'm hungry. Oh, what am I going to eat? It could just have been a thought. Oh, I'm hungry. Are you really hungry? Check in with your body. Is your body hungry? No. Then why are you going to eat? Because you had a thought that says, I want to eat something? Makes sense, right? Sometimes people also, they'll have a thought about, oh, you know what? It's 9:30 at night. I need to go to bed. Okay, it's 9:30 at night. Are you tired? But some people say, well, I have to go to bed when the sun goes down and the sun goes up. It's a good thing to do. And that's where we start to believe our thoughts, and we become more guided by our thoughts telling us what to do. And we'll not even check into our body and say, are you tired? Do you even want to go to sleep? No. Okay, well, let that thought go. Now you are more conscious. You're building a little bit of a space between you, which is the sense of self, this consciousness that you are, and the thought projection, that ego mind of the person who is habituated. That's, as a person, if you're not looking at the thought and observing the thought and letting that thought go or not, but having a choice in that, you are unconscious. That's what it is. So maybe you want to wake up a little bit and say, you know what, I am responsible as being to be more alert, to awake to this knowing of presence and be mindful. Of course, I don't like the word mindful. Either does Eckhart Tolle. Mindful. We don't want the mind to be full. We want it, right? But we have to question the mind. Is that really true? And who's saying it anyway? Who is saying it? Well, it's your habituated self that's saying that. If it's something that is constantly yanking your chain and you're responding to it and your reaction is, I'm going to do that right away without even having a space between that thought, that's pretty much something that's running the show at this point. And so now you can step back and you can say, is that true? Am I really hungry? Or do I have to go to bed at 9:30? Is that just my habitual pattern of that's what I do? And so why should I change it? So we're going to talk a little bit about habits. And if you're joining me, thank you, Marilyn, for joining, Barbara for joining, Todd, thank you for those, Leah. Yes, is that Leah? I've pronounced your name. Yes, thank you for coming on. We'd love you to participate because I do want to get some sense of where you feel you are in terms of knowing that you have the ability to look at your habits and to make modifications, to say, yes, I don't mind that habit. I think, I feel good about that. It's working for me. But if you have some habits that are not working for you and you have a hard time with your life because those habits are taking you over a little bit, they're sort of running the show, you're not able to sleep sometimes because habits are also your habitual thoughts. That is a pattern behavior. So sometimes we get into that restlessness at night where we can't turn off our thoughts, and then it keeps you up. And sometimes that becomes your pattern behavior, right? So as soon as you sit down, lie down at nighttime, all of a sudden the stress from the day comes in and all the thoughts and all of the commentary that's, or all the regrets or all the things you should have done or will be doing in the future. That active mind is something that you can quiet. You can quiet your mind. And that's something we can talk about at a future show as well. So if you have any questions right now about habits, please put it in the chat. I'll be covering some here. Okay, Stanley, When I was 7, as I was riding with my dad to school, he told me that people are creatures of habit. I've never forgotten that. Creatures of habit. That's right. And we all have our habits. I know that when you get up in the morning, right? First thing in the morning, what do? Typically, we brush our teeth, right? We wash our face, right? We take our medicine if we take medicine. What else do we do? Get our coffee, get our banana. I like bananas, right? But do we ever not just jump out of bed? Do we just take a breath, open your eyes, look around? Before you even step your foot out of the bed, do you ever look around and just say, thank you for this day? Thank you, God, for this day. Thank you for my ability to see the beauty of this morning and to feel into your heart and be grateful. And that can be a morning ritual for you. That can be a beautiful beginning of a beautiful day. Instead of just rushing out of bed and getting into your habitual patterns. That's what mindfulness, that's what being present in the moment allows you to do. To respond just as it's happening in real time, beyond the chatter of the mind, and to not listen to your mind. So think about that. Maybe you want that to be a new habit for you. And how do we make that our new habit? By being awake and aware that that's what you want to do. And it takes 21 days to form that habit. Do you know that? In fact, there's 21-day meditations for a reason. Deepak Chopra offers that all the time. 21 days to form a habit. Okay. So if you want to begin that in the night, in your morning ritual, do it for 21 days in a row and see what happens. But let's talk about habits. Why do we even have habits in the first place? What is it about a habit? I think a habit is something that feels familiar, right? It organizes, it orders our world. We feel a sense of security in it. We know what to expect with it. We don't have to think much because there's no thinking involved with a habit, right? You're just brushing your teeth, right? And it's definitely a sense of control because we made it that way. We've set it up in our system of, habit. We do this, we do this, we do this. It's step by step by step by step. And it's something that we control in our world. But what do you do that is habitual is a different thing. Do you have a morning ritual? Do you like to keep the same plan every day? Do you feel that sense of control that everything needs to be in a certain way at a certain time? That also can be your pattern behavior, obviously, and that sense of, I know what to expect, so I feel secure. And that comes from also your childhood. There's things I'm sure that you did as a parent, as a child, and watching your parents go through that routine, and you felt, that makes sense to me. I'll do that too. Yeah. Now, the definition of habit, you may not know this definition, but it is a usual way of behaving, something that a person does often in a regular and repeated way. Right. So it's a behavior, and our pattern behavior, again, is something that we can question. We don't have to just be on autopilot. A habit is a way a person behaves is to a given situation. So you may have a good friend, let's say, you know somebody, and you know them so well that they're going to react in a certain way because there's a certain situation that you're familiar with. Like they're throwing a party, and every time they throw a party, they're going to react in a certain way because they get stressed out, right? So you may even know that about yourself. You may know that, if I have a party, I'll probably get stressed out around about an hour before people show up, right? Yeah. And so you're going to react because now you've got the thoughts coming in. I hope it's done right. I hope I have enough food. Right? And you project all these thoughts and you stress yourself out, right? But you can change that pattern behavior if you are aware that that's what you usually do. So I have a good friend. She knows she gets stressed out at these parties. She knows that she has to work at least a week to prepare, because you got to clean the house. You got to cook. She doesn't want to buy bakery goods. She wants to make them. She has to have help. She has to have everything. She has to have a good china out. And all that has to be done in a certain order. Right. Because she loves doing it, but she also knows how much hard work it is. So she decided finally in her life to allow other people to bring in food, to allow other people to help her, and she cut down on her stress level. So again, if you are aware that you have certain pattern behavior that's not working well, and you still, again, want to go ahead with a party, find an alternative for yourself. Don't just allow your mind with all your stressful thoughts to carry you away. And it's going to be an unhappy situation, obviously, because you're going to get all stressed out. The people are going to come in. You're going to wish it was over before it even got started, right? But think about other things in your life that you've done that, because your mind is telling you one thing, and you're not listening, and you're not really tuning in to really how you want to feel, how you really want this moment to unfold. So don't be a slave to your mind. This is the main theme today. Do not allow your mind to control you. Be aware, be observing of your thought patterns, and see it leaving, coming and going, because it will. It rises and it falls. It'll try to convince you to do the action it's telling you to. It will, until you sit still and silent and observe. And then the urge will pass. And we're really talking in this particular situation about addiction. Because you can have an addictive personality and your mind is saying, it's time for that drink. I really need that right now. And you can look at that thought and say, now that's my habit. If I get stressed out, I go for my drink. Maybe I don't want to do that right now. Maybe it's just my thought, habitual thought that comes and arises during this time of the afternoon around 5 o'clock, and it wants me to listen to it. And you can say, I don't think so. No, not right now. And you can see it rise again and say, what are you doing sitting there? Come on, time for a drink, come on. And you can say, no, I really don't think so. I really don't have the urge for that. Thank you. No, I don't think so. Because if you can do that more and more and more, you will get your life back. And even more, you will discover the stillness within yourself, the presence within yourself, that alertness, that awakened self that will not allow the mind, the ego mind, to take you over. And if you really want to look deeper, let's look deeper into that. As presence, as being, we don't take things personally. It's not about our identity needing anything. I don't need a drink. I don't need to overeat. I don't need to go to bed at a certain time. I don't need to wake up doing whatever I want to do in a systematic way. I don't need any of that. I see it as what the personal identity is doing, because it's identifying with that and it's becoming part of the identity and saying, this is who I am. It's not. The beingness of who you are has no identity. It is what it is. And it flows from that place of isness, place of the now. Yeah. Let me just see what people are writing here. Stanley. I just lay there and meditate. Beautiful. I was a hippie. I did exactly opposite of what my parents did. Good for you. Robin, hi. How are you? Yes. Yeah, so good. And if you do the opposite of what your parents did, I was that way too. I have to say that felt that I was very independent in my own way of doing things, but still, that is still a person doing their own thing. And it's still a person maybe rebelling against the traditional home setting and wanting something different, but you're still the person identifying with those particular changes in your life or things that you want to do that's not what your parents are doing. So be aware of that. We're really looking at how can we elevate, transcend the personal identity with the habituated ego mind. And that is where we become awake, we become the real essence of who we are, that natural state of consciousness. And that doesn't need to be doing anything or rebelling against anything or mirroring anybody, except that we know that we are in that place of now presence and everything is one in that place. So we're reflecting each other. We're seeing the world in a way that is more joyous, more spontaneous, more creative, more loving. And there's no need for something, which habits are really about that, isn't it? I need that, or I don't want that. I want that, or I don't want that. And that's the duality of a person that's making a choice one way or the other. This is good, this is not good, right? I can take care of myself one moment and I deny myself the next. I can be happy one minute or I can be sad. And that's the person with the separation, with duality. And that's life, right? That's looking at things and making choices and saying, I can stop drinking. And the next minute, you can't help yourself. But as the observer of it, you see all of that. You see all of it playing out in the play of your life, of this person's life. And you can make that decision to accept it. I accept that in the moment. Or, you know what? I don't need to go with the drink. I don't need to drink that. I don't need to do what my mind is telling me to do right now. I can be awake and watch it pass like everything will. So I'm going to see, let's get back to a little bit about consciousness for us. What does consciousness mean? People will say, what do you mean by consciousness? What do we mean by consciousness? Well, consciousness, nothing happens without consciousness. You can't be here in this body, in this life, without knowing you are conscious. Consciousness is what we essentially are when we're first born. Before we formed this identity, before we were given a name, before we were told what to do, before we went to school and formed that identity and had a job and had a career and then became a mother or a father, or they had titles to our name, had life journeys that we wanted to be on. That's an identity with a life that begins at birth and ends at death. And again, we're living in duality. And everything is impermanent. There's nothing that's permanent in this life. So habits, I believe habits are formed because we like the idea of permanence. Somehow we think, oh, if we have a good habit or bad habit, doesn't matter. There's a sense of permanence about it because we don't like change. I did that show last week about change. We don't like change. So when we have a habit, it feels like, oh, this is permanent. I brush my teeth when I do this. I go to bed at a certain time. I wake up. I eat a certain food, whatever that list of things you do, right? And there's a sense of stability in that. And again, we can look at it and say, yeah, but that's false. That's really a false sense of self. And nothing is permanent because we are impermanent in this identity. But again, habits make us feel like, okay, at least I can control that. Yeah. Until you can't. Until you can, it's out of control, and you're out of control, and you're OCD, and your mind is totally taking you away from anything that makes sense. So we don't have to go that extreme. But some of us are, some of us do have OCD. Some of us have problems with control, problems with knowing our limits, with habituating. And in that sense, if you're not mindful, it could be pretty dramatic. So hopefully, if there's something that's resonating with you tonight, maybe you could say, you know what, I think I can get more observant of what I'm doing. I think I can look at it as a witness and not log on, as Eckhart Tolle would say. Don't log on to that thought. Don't allow that thought to pull you out of this moment. Be present now. Be conscious now. Allow yourself to fully see and hear and taste and enjoy this moment, because this is the only moment you have. The last moment was gone. The next moment is, we don't even know what that future looks like because we never get there, right? We're always in the now. Everything happens now. Even when we project our thoughts into what will happen in the next minute, it's still happening now. And so if you're not happy with the now, if you're not fully engaged and alive in the essence of now presence, you won't be in the next moment of that. If you're not friendly with this moment, you're not going to be friendly with the next moment. So think about that a little bit. Enjoy yourself. It's like we go on vacation, right? Just so that we can have the pleasure of enjoying ourselves. Because we're now away from our habitual patterns, right? We're in the moment of exploring a new place. We feel more alive because now, wow, I haven't seen that before, and I haven't eaten at that place before. And now we can't really hook onto our habits, right? Because, and frankly, we wouldn't want to. That's why we enjoy vacations. That's why we can't wait to get on vacation, so we can enjoy ourselves, really, when you think about it. Why? Because it's new, exciting. It's something that you haven't seen before, so you're awake to see it, and you want to see it, and you feel like a sense of adventure. But that's what it feels like to be present in the moment now. No matter where you are in this world, no matter where you're going to be spending your time, if you are that way now in your environment, and you can bring that sense of joy and aliveness now, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to escape to anything. And it's pretty exciting, this moment. That's because your inner being knows it to be your truth. And it's revealed, and it's alive, and it's not being burdened in this moment by your thoughts or your sense perceptions or your emotions. It's just now, here. It's alive. And the only reason why we don't see it on a regular basis is because we allow our thoughts to come in like a cloud, or our emotions to take us over, and it dampens that. It covers it up, sort of like the sun behind the clouds. But you are the sun. We are the sun. We are source. And as a witness of that cloud passing in front of the sun, we know it's just passing. Our habits will pass too. It all passes. Our wants, our desires, our plans for the future, they all pass. Is there anything that does not pass? Yes. The beingness of who you are, the essence of who you are is permanent. It's eternal. It's always here. It was not born, and it won't die. When this body goes, it's gone. But the essence of who you are lives on past the body, past this form. because you are the formless. We are formless energy. But as people, yes, we're human beings. We have human side of us and we have the being side. And preferably, I like to be in the being most of the time because it feels so alive and beautiful and peaceful and loving. And I'll feel a sense of contentment. And so it doesn't get better than that. But the moment you start identifying with your thoughts and you start letting your thoughts take you to the next, what are you sitting here for feeling so good? Get up, go. You got to do this today. You got to do that today. Right? Now you got to get, you got to get a job. You got to do this. You got blah, blah, blah. And it takes you away from the moment. And now you're habituated. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions that is tuned in? Sharon, Barbara. Who else is on here? Stanley, Robin. Anybody have a question so far about consciousness and habits? Because we all are that. We all have our little quirkiness about us, right? And then when we realize it, we can do something about it. Again, this is empowerment. We're talking empowerment. We're talking freedom. Freedom to observe, to awaken, and to see what we want to change in our life if we do. Or we like our habits because it feels good. Barbara, you want to talk about anything that you want to share with us?
Was good. And when change is wonderful because nothing is permanent and we're always looking to make something better. So I think if we are awakened and we see something that it is wonderful, then we have to find another way to change it, explore a new way and a new thing that we can do. Rather than respond quickly, sometimes it's good to take a couple of deep breaths and then respond, and then you'll come up with another answer. At first, you have to be able to digest everything. And after you digest it, it'll be better. Because the same doesn't serve us any longer.
It's true. And habits are about the sameness, isn't it? It's about a repetition.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you see in yourself? What habits do you have that you sort of have to chuckle about? Do you want to mention anything?
I think, wait,
okay.
1 second, that's the doctor.
Oh, that's okay.
1 second, excuse me, get to somebody else. Yes?
Okay. That's called divine timing. Okay. Anyone else want to comment? It all makes perfect sense. Yes, Robin, thank you. Yeah. Everything that happens in this moment is divinely timed. And that's what I think is just beautiful, and knowing that you are part of the one, that whatever is flowing in this moment is for your benefit. So if you're going to learn something from it, yes, or it's going to feel so good that you say, boy, it was just perfect timing. I saw it, I reacted, it's here. But if you allow your habits or your thoughts to cloud this intuitiveness within yourself, you won't have that beautiful timingness, that spontaneity that you really are looking for in your life, that aliveness, the joy that just sort of naturally comes through this formless self. That is something that you can't effort. You can't say, oh, I want to be happier today. I want to break a bad habit, so I'll feel better. That's not going to, no. No, that's efforting, and you can't do it with effort alone. You have to look at, what is my body? How do I tune into my inner body? How do I sort of sit in this stillness and wait for a divine energy possibly to come through, and it gives you this feeling of maybe the intuitiveness sort of kicks in, and you hear a little voice that says, maybe go to this restaurant, or Maybe I'll call my friend right now. Or you don't even have a thought. You just pick up the phone and you make the call. It's those moments of clarity where the spontaneity happens, where the being of who you are is resonating, and then you're responding to that. And that's a beautiful way of just allowing your life to unfold in the form. So there is an integration that happens. And that comes with understanding the different levels of awareness and energy, and looking at form versus formless, and being okay with either one, whatever pops in the moment. If you want to experience more of life and you want to be carried off into your habits and you want to explore more experiencing, you're going to know that you're going to have a lot of challenges along the way, and you're going to find more opportunities to awaken. And you're going to say, enough of this. What do I need that for? Why do I need to be a slave to anything, to my thoughts, to drinking, to whatever it is, whatever your poison is? You can make a choice, and this is your opportunity to explore that with me right now. With Moment to Moment, we can have this kind of conversation, awakened conversation, that you won't find too often in the world, because we are just sort of going about our lives in a state of sleepwalking, I would say. And sometimes we wake up and we see a sunset, a sunrise, or we see a baby, and look into a baby's eyes or look into a dog's eyes, and we just feel, yes, that's amazing. That's awesome. That resonates. That's who I am. That ageless wonder, that perfection. And you don't have to be bogged down. You don't have to allow your thoughts to bog you down and create turmoil in your life. You don't have to be doing that. It's not what you're here for. You're here to wake up. You're here to understand your deeper nature, to go deeper. And to allow the heart center to be open and accepting of everything as it happens now. And that's the beauty of knowing your truth. But I like to bring up everyday human experiences in a way that sort of resonates with everyone listening, so that they can see, yes, we're frail as people. We're habituated, we're patterned, we've got all kinds of phobias as people. And a person trying to solve a problem from the place of the person, it does not have much success, because it continues to, I'll break the pattern 1 minute, I'll be successful. I don't know how long that's going to happen for. Maybe I'll go exercise, I'll join a club, and 4 months later, I stop going. Or I want to eat right. I want to eat better. I want to sleep better. I want to go to bed at a good time. I want to wake up at a good time. That also is impermanent, right? Because you've tried it, I'm sure. I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to drink more water, right? Well, I have to drink more water. I'm in the desert. If I don't drink any water, I get a headache or I'll pass out. That's pretty obvious that it wakes me up. Yes, or I'm having a hard time breathing. Take some water. But if you're not awake and aware that this is what's happening to you, good luck. I think that's what the benefit of living in a climate, in a place that really informs your body as to what you should be doing, is a good thing. Because sometimes we just, allow ourselves to be depleted, and we're not that aware that we are getting depleted. Also, emotionally, we get depleted, don't we? We do. Because we form bad habits that sort of numbs us out to life, and we feel a sense of joylessness. We don't feel as happy or inspired, or we don't have a lot of energy in our life. And so again, when you are tuning in to what I call your presence, when you tune in and know that you are presence itself, the aliveness shines through. It's like the sun is shining through again, the clouds. And you're happy, you're peaceful, you're content. And you provide for this body in the way it needs to be provided for, because you're clear about what it needs in the moment. And you're not distracted. Distraction is a big thing in our lives, isn't it? We get so distracted, we lose our keys, we don't know, where we're at, we forget things because we're distracted. But if you're mindful in the moment, you don't allow your mind to distract you, to take you over and tell you things that you don't really need to respond to. So I keep repeating this over and over. I feel the urge in this broadcast to continue telling you the same message over and over again. It's interesting. I sometimes write things down. In fact, I wrote 3 pages down. I'm not even looking at the 3 pages, but I should listen. I should look at one of the pages, because Todd, who is the producer here, spent time writing titles out. And I have to do those titles because that wouldn't be fair to Todd. So I'm going to get to that part of my talk. Okay. Actually, it's a good part of my talk. All right, here I go. I'm going to list 10 habits that you may or may not have. Okay. So we're going to go through each of these habits. Number 1, not drinking enough water. Do you not drink enough water? Oh, it makes me so thirsty thinking about it. Boy, that's so good. So good. You don't realize how refreshing it is when you drink. Okay. Eating late at night. How many of you eat late at night? Huh? Yeah. Do you know how bad that is for you? Let's be honest here. If you have any problems with acid reflux, you're going to continue to have problems with acid reflux, because you're not supposed to go lie down for at least 2 hours after you eat, or sometimes 3 hours. You can lie down because of acid reflux. So eating late also adds a lot of weight to you. Okay. 3, not getting enough exercise. Are you not getting enough exercise? No? Yeah. And I love to join health clubs, but then I also find myself not staying on task with that. If it's not part of your regimen and your habit of self-care, you're going to fall off the wagon with that as well. Yeah. Number 4, skimping on sleep. I know somebody that's behind the scenes here that has a problem too. He doesn't sleep, right? Skimping on sleep. Why? Why do you skimp on sleep? That's not healthy. Your body has to rejuvenate. It has to really take care of itself. And sleep is important. Rejuvenates everything in your body. And then you are more alert in the day. Okay? 5, eating too much sodium. Well, I'm low on sodium, so I eat sodium. So not all of these are, take it with a grain of salt. Take all this with a grain of salt, okay? I am just showing you what habits we have and what habits we don't have. And this is just entertainment right now. Okay, number 6, choosing foods because they sound healthy. I don't know about that one. Choosing foods because they sound healthy. I took this off the internet, as you could see. Choosing foods because they sound healthy. All right, so I'm going to eat a veggie burger. So what's wrong with that? I would say that's not a big problem. But anyway, number 7, eating lunch at your desk. Well, eating lunch at your desk, number 1, when you eat and you're just cramming it down and you're working on your computer, you don't even know what you're eating. For me, that's lack of mindfulness. When you eat, you want to enjoy what you're eating. You want to take your time. You don't want to be rushed. You digest better. That makes more sense. Yeah. And eating at your desk or even standing up is not really really enjoying the moment. And it's all about enjoying the moment, isn't it? Yeah. Number 8, cooking everything in olive oil. That's a funny one. I don't know what olive oil is supposed to be healthy for you, right? People could argue that point. Okay, that's number 8. Number 9, skipping dessert. That's funny. For me, that's funny. My mother never served dessert. No, why do you want dessert? It just puts more weight on you, and it's usually something that's sweet, and it's cookies or something not healthy. What's wrong with skipping dessert? I'm just saying this is very funny. Okay, number 10, not changing or sanitizing your kitchen sponge enough. Now that's a good habit to get into. Yeah, because most of us forget the sponge. We forget that sponge has been everywhere. Put it in the microwave for a minute or put it in your dishwasher. And yeah, or get a new sponge. Okay, that's 10. Now, I'm sure you could come up with a lot of other habits that you've acquired and, in your life that work and don't work. You've tried and then you decided didn't work, right? So anybody want to mention theirs in the chat, please go ahead. I'll be happy to see any of them because they're really funny when we think about it. Because habits are, everybody that has a habit, it's for a reason. It makes them feel more in control. It gives them a sense of security. It's familiar. You don't have to think about it. You just do it. Yeah. Now, how do you change your habit? Is the next question. Okay. It says it takes 21 days to change a habit, but it also, you have to replace the habit. You can't just stop. You replace it with another habit. That's another way to do it. Again, I don't care to go into all this because I really know that the antidote for all this is presence, is knowing the truth of who you are, because habits are the person and their personal preference. Right. So I would say at this point of deepening your understanding about habits is know that as a person, you are completely habituated. The way you handle life, the way you react to life, the way your mind takes you over, the way you allow your emotions to flare up at certain times, doing certain activities that will signal you or trigger you, as they say. You know how you're going to react to a relationship. How a person can trigger you. All these things, right? Or not. I'm just saying you may not know all these things, and that's why I'm talking to you about them. Because if you don't know that you're habituated and pattern and it's pretty much running the show, maybe this is the first time you're hearing it. And maybe you don't want to hear it. Because I had somebody come on and they went right off because they didn't want to hear it. Yeah, no, you got to be ready to hear this stuff because if you're not, it's a bunch of gibberish. So understand that there's more to your existence than this person. And if you are a seeker of that, if you are beyond that, even if you already know that within yourself and you want to deepen that presence within yourself, then keep listening to the show and I'd love you to participate on the show and join in any Tuesday at 7 Central and awaken to how fantastic you are in this moment beyond this body-mind identity. Yeah. So I know we have a commercial. I'm sorry we're a little late with the commercial, but we are going to honor our sponsor. So please stay tuned. You are listening to Moment to Moment.
Want to see your video here? Sponsor WLTK-DB Talk Radio and watch us make that happen. With your paid sponsorship of $80, you receive a professional produced audio, video, and banner placement on our station. Not only does your sponsorship air during our live shows, but also replayed on our podcast and heard by hundreds of like-minded people. Visit WLTK-DB.com to get started and find out just how hard we work to get you noticed.
So welcome back to Moment to Moment. I'm so happy that you are here and you are ready and eager to hear who you really are beyond this form identity. Because Moment to Moment is really about being present, being in the now, understanding the truth. Something that is always here, will never leave, is the eternal beingness, total consciousness that you are. And when we fall unconscious, then we start to really see what life's about. We have a lot of challenges. We lose our keys. We don't fill up our gas. We leave the house without eating. We get depleted. We don't have self-care anymore. We extend ourselves past the limit of understanding. And we wonder why we're doing it. And then we realize we're unconscious. Or we don't. And then we really go down the rabbit hole. And many of us do. You see extremes. You see the homeless on the streets. You see, or people who are very successful coaches, life coaches, who have their act together, who are really in the flow of life, and they are life. They know their life. They know that they are hooked to the source, God, universe, energy that's beyond all of this form. All of the life that we believe we are as people is just a dream. It has no permanence. It's impermanent. And yet we want to separate ourselves out. We separate ourselves from God. We separate ourselves from other people. We certainly separate ourselves from ourselves because we have amnesia. Even before I awakened, I would say to myself, God has given me amnesia again today. Why am I feeling separated from God? Why do I feel separated from life? Feeling alone, feeling depressed, feeling like the spark of energy is missing. When we feel that way, when we feel something is missing from our lives and we're run by our programming, that's when we start to wake up. Because we are unhappy, sad, depressed. And a lot of this happened because it's supposed to wake us up. Life is about all that. Learning our lessons, understanding there is a deeper sense of self that is possible to remember, to actualize, and to be now. And we don't have to wait to be that. There is a shift that happens, a beautiful shift of clarity within one's self. And if you want to go to your heart center and just close your eyes and breathe, be still, and just know this place of presence is all you are. That is the I am presence that we all are. And it's always here. That's the beauty. You don't have to create it. Doesn't have to be an effort to get it, to attain it. We don't have to take a big journey to get it. We don't have to go sit on a mountain and meditate for hours on end. Some of us do, and some of us don't even get here because we're still the person trying to meditate and be quiet. You got to let that go. You got to let your habits go. You got to let your identity go. You got to let your emotions go. You got to let your thoughts go. They're all impermanent. And just be now. That's all. And as the witness observer, which is a good place to begin if you've never been able to witness or observe yourself before, be the fly on the wall, looking at yourself. In fact, be aware that you're aware. Be aware. Because you could be in a person. A person's very aware, right? I can be looking outside. Oh, look at the mountains. Look how pretty. That's being aware. But that's still the person being aware. We're talking about knowing you are consciousness, being aware that you are aware, behind the lens of perception. You are behind the lens of perception. You are looking out. You are behind the eyes looking out. And if you can turn your attention back to that, back into your consciousness, then you get a feeling of what that really is, that stillness. And so as you develop that, as you deepen that, and you let your identity be out there somewhere, you no longer have any desire or any pull to be anything but this. Because you know that's just the play. It's just the play. The thoughts are your play, the emotions are your play, your sense perceptions are your play. And you can have fun with it. Yeah, you sure can. Oh, I just had my third cookie. So what? Okay, at least you're aware that you had your third cookie. Some people would go through a box of cookies and go, what happened? Wait, were they empty when I bought them? Well, that's really unconsciousness, right? Right. Or I don't remember the last time I took a bath. When did I take a shower? I don't really remember. I mean, that's sad. That's sad. Or you look in the refrigerator and you go, you know what? I just haven't shopped for I don't know how long. Wow. Yeah, but it can get that extreme. Yeah, if you're not awake to knowing what's going on in your life, you can just be pulled and yanked and prodded everywhere. And then you realize, I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to be here. You know, that's how sometimes hoarders get that way, right? They just keep everything. They pile everything on, and next thing they're like, how did all this get here? Yeah, right. So we all have, as people poison. How do we detox? How do we clean that out? How do we become more aware and awake and clear mind and clear of that and just be? No action needed, no action required. So I hope within this week, right? You're going to come back next Tuesday, right? At 7 p.m. Central. We're going to talk some more. It's always about one thing and one thing only, just being here now, being the presence in this moment, and knowing your true essence is that. So between now and next week, sit and be still and witness your mind or your senses or your emotions and be okay with it and allow it to be what it is. But be the alert presence behind it. And feel that sense of joy and your inner body and your aliveness and your heart open to this beauty that you are, knowing your truth. And as you continue to practice that, it becomes not even a practice anymore. It just becomes who you know. That you know that I am presence is you. And you see everybody reflected back in the same way. Happy, smiling, content, peaceful. Yeah. So may your week be as beautiful and content and peaceful as you are possibly awake to appreciate. And we'll see you next week on Moment to Moment. I'm your host, Linda Hope. Namaste.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.